What does it take to get noticed, build your personal brand, and land opportunities like talk show appearances? Join me as I sit down with Lisa, host of Living Style with Lisa from Moon Township, Pennsylvania, to talk about the power of visibility, creative branding, and marketing yourself in today's competitive arts world. Ciao, I'm Anna Harsh, professional dancer, author, and host of the Dance Floor podcast, the podcast that offers you advice, tips, and unique ways to find those life lessons that improve our lives. So grab your dance shoes and join me on the dance floor. Welcome back, dancers. I have a really creative soul with me today. Lisa, welcome to the dance floor.
Oh, Anna, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I was so honored to be on your talk show in Moon Township in Pennsylvania, and tell the listeners a little bit about you and how did you get to that point?
To be honest with you, it started when I was little, okay? So I was always a creative soul, drove my mother nuts, a hyper kid, but I was always dancing around the house and really driving her nuts. And I was really into dance and fashion as a young kid. And I would just set up, my Barbie dolls and everything in the room and pretend like I was interviewing people. And then I would literally make things because my mom was a seamstress. So, it was in the blood, but I would make like little outfits for them. And then I would interview them and ask them, well, how do you like your couture dress? Things of that nature. But I was always into DIY projects. So if you fast forward to my show is called Living Style with Lisa. It airs in Pittsburgh here locally. It's a local TV show that I enjoy, love doing the show. But if you fast forward and how I got into the show, it's just really bringing the child out in me. I'm enjoying this. I'm over my 50s and I'm busier now than I ever was, which is so funny. But my show's a lifestyle series where I have people like you in the community pursuing their passions, really going out there and living your style your way. And I interview people on the show and I love doing that. And I also do the DIY projects. So it's a good mix. Yes.
It was a wonderful show. And I have to say,
thank you.
I've been on a lot of shows and a lot of television and news broadcasting from, Comcast newsmakers to your local television, man on the street kind of interviews at festivals and things. And I have to say, You're one of the funnest hosts I've ever had. Seriously. And I've been doing this for, as you know, quite some time. So I love that you and your staff made it so easy to just walk in and feel welcomed and feel at home and to be able to share, my stories, my dances and dancing on television. That's rare.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you and really frank. Dancing has always been a part of me. Ever since I was little, I took dance classes. I never wanted to pursue it professionally, but it's been throughout my, I don't want to say career because I never did it professionally, but it's always been like I could not dance for 10 years, but then I'm back to dancing.
Yeah, it keeps coming back to you.
Yeah, it always comes back to me. Even now, it's that music, and we talked about this when you were on my show, it's so healing. Well, dance is healing. And, to be honest, there was a very traumatic incident and time in my life that had happened, and dance is what got me through up walking again. I didn't walk first, I danced. And this is literally a true story without going into detail. Yeah. But I danced my way through things. And to this day, I dance in the community, out at street stoplights. And I have community people stopping me and they'll dance with me now. Yeah. So dance is for everybody. You don't have to be like a professional dancer. It's for everyone, don't you think? It just makes people feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about how dance is healing all the time on the show because so many of my guests, will say, well, I started, dancing because it was fun, or a friend took me, or, I got into it because a sibling was there and I was just like, yeah, I'm going to do it too. And then they found the power of dance, what it brings to you. And I think, knowing your passion, we've been talking about that the last few episodes, knowing your passion, something that sticks with you. And it's like, I have to honor it and acknowledge it. But today, Lisa, you're so creative. And with your marketing, with your Instagram and your television show and the colors, and like you said, even the style of clothing and how you put your look together, all of that branding is important. And as dancers, once we leave the stage, I always try to think about what am I going to leave the stage and what am I going to wear? What's in my bag? How should I present myself? And so all of those things matter. Can you give the listeners some tips of how to put yourself together before you walk out the door as a creator?
Oh, no, absolutely. I always say, leave your mark, right? Leave your
Mhm.
mark. And then, like say if you're doing a performance and before you hit that stage, I feel, always do something, I know it's dance, but maybe do something like a little ritual,
Yeah.
whether it be prayer or if you're not spiritual, whatever it may be for you, or just saying a shout out to your parent, whatever it is for you, do
Yeah.
something that's meaningful to you in your heart. And then when you go out there, you're going to perform and you're going to just, take everybody by storm. But I
It
always
makes it
say,
really
leave your
special.
mark. Yeah, it does. It
Leave
makes
your
it
mark.
very special. Yes.
Yeah, we do. Usually, I gather my dancers before we go on to stage. We gather in a circle and just hold hands and say a moment.
Oh,
This is a gratitude moment. We
mm,
honor the moment that we are given, the great
mhm.
opportunity we have to share our gifts and the beautiful dances that we are about to perform for a brand new
Yeah.
audience. And that matters. How you
It,
show up
yeah.
matters. I know that being on the television show, like since I wasn't new to that, but I'm going to back up for the listeners that maybe has never been on a television show or maybe has never been interviewed by the news before.
Yeah, sure.
So can you talk us through some basic things that we should look for, like marks and lighting and microphones, all of that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I always say if you have to be somewhere at 10 o'clock, show up 15 minutes prior, right? Because, you can go over to so say you're doing your first interview ever. You can go over to the host, introduce yourself, and say, can we just walk through this, because I'm a little bit nervous. It's my first time on the show. And they will be more than grateful that you came up to them, believe me, and say, yeah, we can go through this. And, we'll walk through every step. Because not only that, like you were saying, if you're never on a show, you're never in front of cameras, it's the camera light. Hey, when that red light's on, that means we're going to start to film. There's going to be a countdown, things of that nature, and which mark to look at, which camera to look at. I even say if you go on an audition, the listeners out there, say if you are dancers or actors or, whatever you're pursuing in life, or even if you're just going on a job interview, show up 15 minutes early. I think that means a lot. You're showing the initiative that, hey, I'm going to be here early. I'm willing to put in what needs to be put in and leave your mark, right?
It shows the person that's going to interview you that you care. You care
Yes,
about
absolutely.
this opportunity to share your story, your talent, or maybe you're promoting a show. A lot of
Yeah.
times in the past, I had to promote a show or, a recital or an orchestra that was working with my dancers, and I had to go on the
Mhm.
news, talk about it. You have to
Yeah.
have those notes, and it's okay to have little cards. When I first
Yes.
started out, I had a couple of cards, that had 3 points on them that I had to say because you might
Right.
get nervous. You might get nervous. So have that website, have that email or whatever you need to say, the phone number to call for tickets, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That
Because
information.
that's so true, what you're saying, because when you're interviewing, there's so many things going on in your mind, right? And that
Yeah.
could just bypass your mind. And those are important key parts, the website, the phone numbers, things
Right.
of that
All of that.
nature. Yeah,
All of
all
that.
of
The
that.
other thing that I learned the hard way is the microphone is going to be pinned on you, like near
Oh,
your neck. Like,
yeah.
so wear something that it can be easily pinned on, one. And
Yes.
two, don't bring a chunky necklace that's going to clank in the microphone.
I was just gonna say, I love chunky jewelry. Okay, I
I
am
know I love
all about
jewelry.
accessories, but that is so true. And even earrings, the dangly earrings, because they might click on the microphone as well.
Did you know Allegro Dance Company offers various classes online from dance to fitness? Yes! Now you can enjoy a relaxing yoga class or book a tarantella class for your entire family. You don't have to leave your home anymore to enjoy these great and unique classes. So what are you waiting for? There's no more excuses. You can work at your pace. Book your class. Choose your time. Visit our website today, allegrodancecompany.net, and let your dance journey begin.
And I do want to say, if I can, talking about fashion, try to avoid stripes, even if you love them. Okay. It's just not camera friendly and it doesn't take to the TV too well. Even polka dots, those kind
Yeah.
of patterns, I love them just as much as anybody, but when you're on TV, woo, they don't take too well.
No, they don't. That's true,
No.
because you want to be photographed well. You want to be
Mhm.
you want that video to be crisp and clean and really show through, like you said, leave your mark and shine bright. But that's
Absolutely.
true. So I would always call ahead sometimes and say, what is your background? What should I be wearing? What main colors? And sometimes I'll get an email that says, wear blue or wear, whatever color that they,
Which is nice. Yeah, that's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
Especially like one time I had to do the weather. I had to like do something with the weather and I made sure I didn't wear green because it was a green screen
Oh, yeah.
behind me. You
That would have been
disappear.
great, Anna. We would just see your face. Yeah.
You would just
Which
see a
is
floating head.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So those things like you have to know ahead of time. So
Mhm.
I always tell dancers to videotape themselves, a couple of times at home. Use your phone or use your camera and go through it. Pretend. I used to
Yeah.
pretend like you when I was little,
Right.
interviewing my dolls or, doing something like that.
Right.
And I think those things, that playtime did matter because then when I got
Oh,
to
yeah.
do it for real, I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm an expert at this. But
Yes.
because you
Yes.
have that practice and knowing
Yeah.
what to expect. There's tape marks, you might have to stand on it. For like your studio, we got a chance to dance a little bit. You had a little more space than I'm used to doing, which was
Yeah.
great. So we got a chance to dance a little bit, but there were still, boundaries that you're like, hey, this is how far the camera is. So I would know, oh, we can't reach our arm there or our leg. So those things
Right.
matter to know before you go, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're so important. Another key point I think is to be yourself.
Yeah.
That is another thing. Like, I think a lot of times, with all the technology and all of, the social media, dancers might look and say, I don't dance like that. That technique's not what I do.
Right.
Be yourself, because not everybody is the same. Not everybody dances the same, dresses the
Right.
same, right? Just be yourself.
I love that. And I always came with a story or an idea that I was going to present, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. And on your show, not only we talked about my books, but we got a
Yeah.
chance to bring the dances to life from the book in real
It was
life
so
and how, oh my gosh, I had a blast with you, Lisa.
Oh, I had a blast with you.
It was so fun. But that's the thing. Like you said, be yourself, have fun with
Mhm.
it, and that's going to radiate out into the audience that's watching.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more.
Lisa, are there any other tips that maybe once you are finished with the interview,
Mhm.
what are some protocols that we as dancers or creatives might remember to do before we leave the studio?
I think before you leave the studio, maybe, even if the host doesn't say, "Oh, could you share your website?" I think before you leave that interview, if you can on camera, whether it's an Instagram account, any social media, share your website. But once it wraps up, if you could, just have maybe you don't have photos or, anything of that nature yet, but you can do so much now, especially with AI and technology. Just do something like a resume, just something basic,
Yeah.
and maybe one headshot you could do yourself just to start out and leave with the producers, the hosts, and say thank you so much for having me on your show. Have business cards if you can. I know when you start out, it's so hard, it's so difficult because everything, is so pricey. You're on a budget as
It's
it
pricey
is.
and you're on a budget. You're right. But you could do it on the phone and say, hey,
So
can
yeah,
I tap your phone and do those quick, QR codes or something like
those are
that now?
great. Oh,
Yeah.
I love those. Yeah.
The other thing that I do, because you and I are a little more old school, but the
Yes.
other thing that I do is I try to either give a thank you card or I
Me too.
send one after. And I leave
Right.
them with the gift because, like you said, that leaves your mark.
It does.
You stand out, and they're going to want you back as a guest because you had that
Mhm.
please and thank you. You showed up
Right.
early, you knew your
Yes.
marks, right? And you had
Right.
something to say that was creative. And I have to say, like, don't be afraid if something happens or improvisation needs to come into your interview because that
Yes.
recently happened to me. I was
Oh,
live
okay.
on a news show. The host was interviewing me and her
Yeah.
microphone completely jumped off her suit and fell
Mm.
onto the floor.
Oh.
And she looked at me in panic. And
Oh, okay.
so I picked up where she left off and gave the festival information. The cameraman shot to me so that she could pick up her microphone and put it back. So things do happen and don't let it throw you. Have
Right.
something to say, a story, or like I did, I just finished what she was starting to talk about and I just finished it for her. And then when we
Yes.
got done with the interview, she was like, oh my gosh, thank you for being my angel, right?
I'm sure she appreciated that, and that's so good, Anna, and you're so well experienced with that,
Well, we're in
You're,
practice, Lisa. We're still
yeah,
practicing.
yeah,
Because,
yeah.
as an artist, as a creative person, when somebody helps you out, thank
Oh,
you so much. If anybody can
oh,
pick up, where you left off or help you
yes.
get off your feet,
Oh,
that really goes a long way. And she was like, thank you
yes.
so much. I can't wait to see the
Oh,
show. Her and her camera crew came to the show that I was advertising only because I was that extra person. No, it's no big deal. We've all been there. We've fallen on stage. Things have happened backstage. You've had a mishap, but you move
right.
on and
Mhm.
you pick up where you left off.
Absolutely. Yeah, always, huh?
Lisa, tell us about your show and like where can we watch it and all of those good things. Like how can we see more of this creative stuff? Because I loved it and I couldn't wait to watch
Oh,
another
thank you.
episode.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much for saying that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Living Style with Lisa. It does air locally on the old school TV, in Moon Township only, because it does film in Moon. Okay, so those channels right now are 14 and 21. Now they do change because Comcast, Verizon, they change their programming channels every once in a while. But right now, those are the channels if you live in Moo and you want to watch it on old school TV. But you can watch it online anytime at MCA TV Cablecast. Okay, if you go to that website, you can go to that website and it'll bring up other shows as well, which you can enjoy. But you could do the search bar and just search Living Style with Lisa, and all my shows will come up. And
I
then
love
also on
that.
Instagram, of course, I'm on Instagram, Living Style with Lisa. Follow me. I would love to hear your comments or, share a little dance. I would love to see your dance.
Oh my gosh,
Any of your
yes.
viewers can,
That's right.
show me your dance moves.
Well, Lisa, I'm going to leave the link to the episode that I did or to your TV show so that people can click on the link at least and start from there if they are living across the United States or around the world.
Oh, I
We have
love
listeners
that.
around the world that are listening. So shout
That's
out to all
awesome.
my dancers around the world. And
Yes, shout.
this is great, Lisa. You are really building something we call community, you
Oh,
know,
good.
and we're
Oh,
building that community one person at a time, aren't we? And we're
we are.
letting them in
Yes.
to our
Yes.
creative world. I love it.
I love it too. And, like you said, just let people in. And I know we talked earlier in the beginning about music letting people in, but dance really lets people in. There's people that you might look and say, I bet you he won't dance because this has happened. This is a true story. Okay. I won't mention names, but this has happened just recently. I was running. Okay. I was out there in the community, pulled off on the side of his car, and he said, I've seen you dance. I don't know how many times. Will you dance with me? He was at 82. He was 82 or 83. I'm not sure. But he was in his 80s, okay? Because he told me. And I says, absolutely. And he put on his music. It was jazz music. And we danced. I mean, that to me makes my day like incredible. I can't say enough about, when people stop me or ask me to dance or anything like that. But that recently happened. And I thought to myself, he was a good dancer. He loved to dance, and we enjoyed each other just by dance and music. It was wonderful. And that's out in the community. I don't know this person. It was wonderful. I wanted to cry.
You
It
literally
is.
are leaving your mark and you're making a difference in the community. And there's so many people that have told me, hey, I saw you on Lisa. I saw you on
Oh,
Living Style.
oh, I'm
So
so
that
happy.
meant a lot to me too, because you never know who you are touching in the world, who you
True.
are inspiring. And
Yes.
I think if you are true to your brand and true to your marketing, things like that, people will come to you. You don't have to, keep chasing others. They will come to
Mm-mm.
you. Your tribe will find you and follow you.
You're right. I love that you say that they'll come to you because in my younger days, I was always chasing and, going for this, that. I mean, I was really hustling. And like I said, I'm busier now in my 50s. Well, I'm such a different person. Life has changed. You just go
Sure.
through life. But I'm such a different person in my 50s and I'm loving it. Everybody says, oh, I don't like getting old. I'm loving getting older because this time in my life, I am just like enjoying life and I just love just being me and not chasing anything.
And I
Gonna
think
do
younger
that.
dancers need to hear that. You don't have to do that
Please, yes.
chasing. Be
No.
who you are,
Mhm.
shine bright on stage, and don't
Yes.
let anyone stop you from doing your passion or dreams.
Never give up. Please, if anything, never give up. And you know what? Not only that, when you're dancing on stage, you don't know who's watching.
Absolutely.
You do not know who's watching. You never know what that can lead to. So that is a whole other thing. Yeah, which is awesome.
All right, Lisa, thank you so much for being on the dance floor with me. And thank you to dancing with me on your television show in person. That was awesome.
Anytime. And thank you, Anna. Ciao, listeners.
Okay, everyone, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you soon on the dance floor.